Last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign.
They finally gave us a reason to pay attention to January 6th. Turned out to be a pretty good day. His kids then proceeded to give him a no-confidence vote. Speaking of kids and lineage, what's Trudeau going to do now? Maybe go down to Cuba to rule and follow in his father's footsteps? He did do his best, after all, to try to turn Canada into Cuba. But the people are sick of him, and now it's time to come home. California is tragically going up in flames, and I have to tell you, it's like Gavin Newsom and David Muir are almost indistinguishable in terms of the hair, vanity, and uselessness. It's like they're having a narcissist contest.
And I can't tell you about how many people, what happened. My own team saying what happened.
Shut up.
In reality, you know he just wants to go to the French Laundry for a nice meal.
I don't believe it.
Of course, in the midst of all this suffering and incompetence, Gavin Newsom seems to be finding lots of time to go tweeting and flagging misinformation.
This misinformation, there were hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation, lies.
How very COVID of him. In other words, he's using tragedy of his own making as a shield. Just when you're at your angriest at bad leadership, now is not the time to criticize. You see, you're politicizing if you do that. When Democrats in the left say that something's being politicized, it's a term that means that their side is being justly called out for tragic blunders that usually result in death. Benghazi was politicized, Fauci's role was politicized, Afghanistan was politicized. You get the idea. Conversely, when the right says something is politicized, it means it's politicized. When I saw this, I couldn't help thinking about one thing.
Morning, Ralph.
Morning, Sam.
Maybe there's a little bit of insincerity to the Trump hate. So on one hand, you know that politics is theater and they don't mean it. But then you see the results when the politics go wrong, because it means the focus goes wrong. It means decisions go wrong.
Under my leadership, we elevated racially and ethnically motivated violent extremism to our highest threat priority, on the same level with ISIS.
I don't know, maybe ISIS is worse?
An ISIS flag on it, and essentially that the
On the deadly mass casualty in New Orleans,
The FBI is politicized, and that's why we don't trust it. And therefore, we don't trust their priorities. And maybe local authorities are also subject to political forces, which can lead to disastrous consequence.
Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick spoke about why the bollards that were under repair were not in service at the time of that attack.
Well, they were not able to be up and running, and that is because it was under repair.
This is not inspiring leadership. A brief word, if I may, about my channel.
God, help me! Help me, Rod. Help me!
Yes, help if you can. Help by interacting, subscribing. If you'd like to donate, I just started my Patreon page, patreon.com/jokesandApoint. Link in the description. With Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom making solely politically based decisions, the chickens have come home to roast.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
do something!
The Democrats and people on the left are screaming that this is all about climate change, but it's really about priority change. Dr. Davis Hanson, Michael Shellenberger, Trump, all have documented how and why California has gone up in smoke.
He bragged not very long ago that he blew up 4 dams on the Klamath River.
Largest dam removal project in U.S. history.
They provided 80,000 homes with clean hydroelectric power. They offered recreation, flood control, irrigation. He blew them up. But he has systematically ensured that water out of the Sacramento River and the watershed of Northern California would go out to the sea rather than into the aqueduct.
The water up north gets routed into the Pacific Ocean.
Los Angeles firefighters haven't had the water they needed. They should have issued emergency warnings to residents, particularly those in vulnerable areas. Karen Bass flew to Ghana on a frivolous junket, and Gavin Newsom only called out the National Guard yesterday, 7 days later than he should have. Over half of all fires put out by the LA Fire Department are started by the homeless.
As it happens, Newsom is the king of homeless problems. The only time he's effectively dealt with the homeless is when Xi Jinping visited.
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
So by this measure, if he wants to eliminate half the fires in his state, he just has to convince Xi to move over to California, I guess. Homelessness and the fires will be solved.
What happened? My own team saying what happened.
Shut up.
When it comes to fire safety, he couldn't figure out what happened. I think the clues were there.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Getting himself in the wrong place. If by wrong place you mean California, then she's correct. It's not her fault that she can't carry him. This is what passes for firefighter leadership in California. Whether you're having a fire or medical emergency, it puts you at ease if your responder looks like you. Last time I looked, I was not an obese lesbian, but I need to look again. I'm at ease when my responder responds, and responds competently.
On tight! Whoa! So that's what these things do.
You know what makes me really ill at ease, though? It would be to know that my first responder's first response is to consider race and sex at all. And before I passed out and everything turned dark for me, I don't think I'd like to hear, "You got yourself into the wrong place."
3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that.
Only 115 women were firefighters? Wait, maybe that's not as big a deal as you think. Maybe that's taking the eye off the ball. Or balls.
Here, the local folks are trying to figure that out.
World, the firemen don't have hoses, so they're like literally using purses?
I guess the idea is to get as feminine as possible. Have the physical standards been lowered? I think so. The physical test for firefighters, according to Grok, is that a firefighter needs to successfully perform a rescue drag of a 165-pound dummy. That would be fine, except the average man in the U.S. weighs 197 pounds, and the average woman 170. So our fire departments are perfect, provided that you're a lighter person. We'd be doing great if this was Bangladesh. Physical requirements are one thing. It might have been good if Newsom had to pass an intelligence test. Walgreens just announced in San Francisco that they're closing 12 stores due to crime and expense. You see, if Newsom doesn't get you with fire, he'll do it with crime or economics. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Be sure to pass around to anybody who might like my content. And I'll see you the next time.